out and felt that it is a day of rage, which he has fixed for today, 5th of August, and then went about mobilizing Nigerians in order to come out to actually express their grievance. Now, the government is quarreling with the word revolution. So revolution means change of government. That is an act, being planned to overthrow the government that is in power instead of legitimate means. Actually, our constitution says it that government of the country can never be overthrown in any other means other than through the ballot box. Any other method is clearly unlawful. It is never felony, and there are consequences and all that. So the government now did what we call preemptive action by arresting him, I think on Friday, and have kept him in detention up to today. And then what are we saying, the human rights community? The human rights community is saying, it is wrong to arrest somebody who is actually expressing grievance against misgovernance, that it is part of the democratic tenet. It is a constitutional right. It's guaranteed by the Constitution itself, both under our internal, our Constitution, and even under African Charter, that people have a right to protest. People have a right to express their grievance. People have a right to say no to these policies of government that is clearly not in tune with the yearnings and the aspirations of the people. That if you now stop them from doing that is running contrary to the provisions of the Constitution. So, my own take in all this, and I'm saying this here with every sense of responsibility. Treasonable felony is a very serious offense. If government is alleging it, whoever alleges must prove. So if you have evidence that he has committed any act of treasonable felony, the best thing to do is to take him to court. I would like a situation where you keep Sankore in indefinite detention without any formal charge. That means that there was no offense he has committed.
What does the law say about treasonable felony? How does the law deal with such persons if convicted under the law?
Yeah, the point is that when you want to overthrow the government, mere mention of revolution or mere intention, expression of intention is not enough. There must be what we call actus reus, because what constitutes crime under our law, except the offenses of state liability, is issue of mens rea and actus reus. So it means that there must be an intention, first of all expressed, then there must be an act towards, accomplishing an act, that makes the entire criminal process to be complete. Mere expression of interest is not enough. If you use the word revolution or whatever word you use, rage now, and there is no concomitant act itself that has given impression that you want to actually overthrow a government, it will be very difficult to convict in the court of law. And that is why the judiciary is always there to look at issues from every perspective, not only from the executive angle, you will look at it also from the evidence that is available on ground. So my own take in issue of treasonable felony allegation and other, if you have evidence that this young man has actually committed it, it will be very proper for him to be charged to court timelessly.
But the question I was asking is not to say that this right now is a treasonable offense, but what does the law really say? What do we have in our constitution for treason?
The criminal provision against treasonable felony is an offense punishable with death. Yeah, if you are found to have intended to overthrow the government, both under of course, those who tried it under the military, they paid heavily. It's a very heavy penalty. Even under civilian regime also. Anytime the Constitution says it is unlawful, it is unconstitutional to levy war against the state or try to remove the government in another means other than through the democratic process, and that is by voting out the government that is in power. Any other means is clearly unlawful. So it is an offense punishable with it. But as I said earlier, it's a matter of proof. Whoever is alleging must prove. It's not a question of because somebody has used the word revolution, that makes it a treasonable felony. That must be that act itself.
All right, Mr. Bani, let's hold you a bit. Tunde Pratt is at the National Stadium in Surulere. Tunde, welcome back.
Can we talk to you, sir? Can we talk to you, sir?
It looks like Surulere is he's getting people on the line. Surulere is bubbling right now, if you can use a word.
Hold on. Just hold on.
Hello, Tunde.
Yeah, just hold on. The secret is here. We're trying to talk to him.
Okay.
Listen.
All right, the commissioner, please.
Okay.
Yes, please, Tunde.
All right. The secret just came in briefly.
Okay.
Just for a few minutes to see what's happening. And then we're trying to, I'm sure you heard, from the background, we're trying to see if we can talk to him.
Okay.
To get, what's happening. Because before he came in just now, they've been picking up people around. They're actually picking up people. I don't know how they're actually identifying them, but they just walk up to someone and they pick. So I've been trying to, ask questions, what's happening, why they, in fact, there's a particular guy, the last guy they picked up, there are claims that he's a journalist. I can't confirm that. And it was also shouted that he's a journalist. Other press here too. We're trying to, talk to the security guys if they can actually leave him, but they said no, they molested him and took him straight into their van. But I can't really confirm if he's actually a journalist or not. But they are picking up people around. But for now, it is peaceful. Nothing really is happening now. We just have the police officers, on ground to ensure that no protest is being carried out. Then we have loads of press guys doing their work and people just standing by to see what's happening. So the CP has declined to stop. So he just said, thank you. So you guys do your job. Thank you.
So you said that nothing is happening. Does that mean that there are no protesters there anymore?
At all. We don't have any gathering here.
If the protesters are not there, who is the police picking up? Who are they arresting?
That's what I'm saying. That I don't understand. The selective arrest. Let me use it like that because they just walk up to you and pick you up. I think like I've seen three guys now. Three guys yet that I can confirm that they pick them up just among people standing.
Okay.
So I can't say more than that. What I can say is just to pick up people and take them into their van.
How about the security presence on ground? Have they reduced?
No, at all. It's still heavy. Like I said, the people just came in. So it's not that the whole lot of trucks and vans will come with him. And if they have some still stationed here, it is still heavy. I can tell you, it is still heavy.
Okay, just to clarify, before we let you off, just to clarify, I was asking you the last time about, the time you were running. Tell us precisely what happened then. Did the police fire? What did they fire?
Okay, what happened then was that was when we still had the protesters on ground. Like I said, they were gathering numbers, and a whole lot of people were joining them, and they were singing and yes, a little bit becoming agitated and telling the police guys to stay on their side that they're going to have, and they're insisting that they will have their own protest. So then the reinforcement came in. They had dogs, like almost 30 bands of police officers and military, and they came in to start this. So they started shooting. Stagger. I can confirm that. Stagger, because I was also affected. Unfortunately, I was caught up on the other side while trying to have my interview.
Okay,
so
the police shot, they fired the tear gas.
Yeah, they fired the tear gas.
I need you to confirm this. I saw some reports on social media just a while ago that that the police shot at a guy. Did that happen while you were there?
Well, I've been here since past 7 anymore.
Yes.
Until now, I'm still on ground. In fact, I'm just under the bridge at National Stadium where it all happened and where it is still happening. I can't confirm anything like that. I did not see anything like that.
Right.
I did not see anything like that. Now, again, when they sent, they pushed back the protesters, they pushed them up until Kita, between National Stadium and Kita. Now, I did not follow them to Kita because I'll be on the other side. I'll be with the protesters. That means I'm in great danger. So I have to look for a way to come back. So up until where I came back, it is very close to Kita. Nothing like that happened. I did not see if anybody was shot. It is just stagger. And I've been on ground. Nobody's talking about gunshots.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about gunshots. At least I can't cover everywhere, but I'm with a whole lot of journalists here. And nobody's saying anything like that. We're all just affected by the stagger.
So would you say the protest is over?
Yes, for now, there's no form of any protest. For now, I don't want to use the word over because we are still on ground. We don't know if they can still come back. But they tried to come back. Like after 30 minutes, when they pushed them back, they came back with. The first time, they had no van, no truck. But the second time, they came with a truck and they had speakers singing and shouting and all of that. But immediately, they were pushed back to this. why the police officers fired tear gas into there and stick them. But the thing is, I can confirm that yes, they fired tear gas, but it was direct.
Oh, it was a direct.
Yes, I saw it. That was when I was on air trying to get my interview done. That was when I had to collect my phone. From the guy that.
Did anyone get wounded at that time? Was there anyone injured?
No, I did not get anything. For now, I'm not. I can't confirm that.
All right, today. Thank you very much. Stay safe. We'll get back to you again shortly.
All right.
Rotimi.
Well, if the protests are over for the day,
which we're not sure it is.
Well, that's all. If the protests are over, then it's over. If it's not over, some people will gather again. Like was said earlier on the program, the thing with this kind of protest is that many groups often overstate their capacity for protest, and then the state then overreacts.
Okay.
Which is what is causing all this tension.
Yeah.
I mean, in reality, in all likelihood, this protest may have been organized partly successfully in some places, and in some places, maybe nobody would have turned up at all. Either way, it's not good crisis management. It's important that the police acts with restraints. It doesn't matter how provocative the protesters are. Even and up to throwing pebbles or stones at them does not need to attract live gunfire. The thing with protests always is to contain the protest as peacefully as possible.
Well, the protest was peaceful this morning from the report we got from today up until the firing of the tear gas canisters by the police. And I'm wondering, do you think that was justified?
Well, the police are not, historically, the evidence has shown that the Nigerian police are not well trained at containing protests, partly because often you hear the police suggesting that you need their permission to protest, which is not the case. So when they turn up and they see you, they assume that when you see them, you should run away. Whereas their own job is just to stand by and make sure that there is no destruction of loss of life and property,
including that of the protesters,
including that of the protesters,
which is the point we need to emphasize, that the police also have a responsibility to also protect the
protesters from any violent attack. They should just follow them and make sure everything ends peacefully,
and everyone goes home,
and everyone goes away. Now, if protesters get unruly, there are global standards for containing people peacefully, which is that you form a cordon around them and stop them from going to, or if, for instance, protesters start going, say, towards like a fuel tank farm, for instance, where you know that potentially if anything goes wrong, it may be, then you contain them. If things now start getting out of hand, you can fire tear gas to disperse. There are stages. There are stages, but often they just go straight for firing tear gas, or as we saw in Abuja on several locations, firing live ammunition.
All right, before we wrap up this session, Barrister Albani is still on the line. In Rivers State earlier, Emmanuel told us that the protesters in Rivers State tried to reach the CP or the police to then work out their protest, which is a point Rotimi has made about getting clearance before a protest.
Even he had to get clearance to do the coverage.
You see?
Well, it's not so much clearance. It's letting them know that he's a journalist and he's there.
Yeah.
And being there means also speaking with the police and the security. Yeah, so you need to let them know that you are a journalist.
In conflict reporting.
And that you will be coming to speak with them.
Yeah.
It's not so much clearance as information. They can't say you can't cover a protest.
Yes.
But Barrister Albani, before we wrap up on this half, tell us about this again, just to make clear. If a protest will hold, do you need permission from the police? I think this issue has been overflogged, but let's just say it again, just to put it out there.
Yeah, there is a decided case, and that is by the Court of Appeal, that under democracy, you don't require any permit for you to carry out protest. It's a legitimate way of expression under democracy. So, issue of seeking permission before you can do what is guaranteed by the Constitution is clearly illegitimate. So, I don't think it's proper. The only thing, as Raleigh pointed out, sometimes you need to tell the police to even guide the process. I mean, the process of protest, so that they don't allow some hoodlums to
hijack the process.
To hijack the process and then even harm the protesters.
That's right.
So that's where you require police to cover the protest to ensure that there is no breakdown of law and order. But for permission, clearly unlawful. You don't require permission of the police for you to carry out legitimate protest. This is allowed under democracy.
Okay, this is our info special coverage studio. That's a hashtag we're using on Twitter, and you can watch us on Facebook and YouTube. We'll keep you updated as the protest goes on, if it does go on. Otherwise, our correspondents are standing by everywhere to keep you updated. Today is also the day to determine the case for the bail application by Elzazaki and his wife Zinat, and the hearing will be holding in Kaduna today. Barrister Bani, what do you anticipate today? The police has also warned against protesting or even procession for the Elzazaki case today.
I think even the group themselves have suspended the protest for now.
Yes.
Pending the time, the application, the judgment or ruling will be given. I think today is for the ruling. It's my belief that the issue of bail is a constitutional requirement also. If you are accused of a crime, the law presumes that person to be innocent until the contrary is proved. So if you have evidence to start off with your prosecution, but let the accused person be free to be attending to his trial. But if you now keep him in prison when you have not properly gone through the entire process of proceeding, and then get the person convicted based on evidence, then you are now jumping the gun. So the proper thing for anyone who is accused of any crime at any point in time is that the person should be granted bail, so that he can come and face his trial. So even if evidence is given and that evidence is proved beyond reasonable doubt, it is at that point that the court can now make a pronouncement, putting the person in custodial sentencing will be done custodially. So the person will now be in prison. But when you put somebody in prison who is presumed to be innocent, you are now prejudging the individual who has not been proven guilty. So it's a normal process, but we're getting it wrong here. And I think it's high time we begin to do the right thing. We begin to insist the right thing be done. Individual right is recognized even by God himself. God, even before he judged Adam, gave him opportunity to explain what are the issues, So I see no reason why people should be kept in indefinite. I need to come and speak about this issue of indefinite detention.
We're having that conversation on the morning Crossfire tomorrow. You might join. I'll speak with you about it.
I was going to ask you, Barrister Bani, that what are the options open to Omoyele Shore?
In fact, by tomorrow, I think the legal team will be in court. If it's not released today, they must enforce his fundamental human right for freedom. It's there. If you don't have any case against him, you have no right to have picked him in the first place. He must have done your work, monitor him and know that this thing the man is doing is illegal and unlawful and criminal. So immediately you pick him, the next thing you get his statement and then get all the witnesses against him and then charge him to court. But the moment you just carry him now, go and just dump him and keep him there indefinitely and all that, he's not allowed anywhere under our laws. Not even with the crime of allegation of reasonable felony. Yes, if you have all those evidence, go ahead and prosecute him. But I don't think that this guy will just open his eyes and want to overthrow the government or involve any foreign government to overthrow Nigerian government. No, he's too wise for him to do that. He's a friend. I know him very well, and he called me, concerning this particular decision. Say, look, you guys know what we are fighting for. We need a good governance in this country and all that, So, and I agree with him. Right. But I don't think he will want to overthrow this government. That I know.
Right. Barrister Monday Obani, thank you so much for joining us on this coverage this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rotimi Sankore has been here also. If anything develops, we are standing by right here to give you a live coverage. Right. Our reporters are also on the standby here in Lagos. Tunde Pratt in Port Harcourt. Emmanuel is there in Abuja. We have Solomon and also Fidel standing by there. So we'll be back. We're live on Facebook. You can see the footages Tunde has been sharing.
You need to follow us on Twitter. You see the videos, you see the pictures there. There is a huge conversation going on, especially on Nigeria Info's page on Twitter. Please follow us on Twitter to be a part of that coverage as well.
All right, we'll see you again shortly to give you more updates. Rotimi Sankore is still here with us also. Don't go away. I'm Wemimo Adewuni.
And I'm Sheriff Quadry.
And we'll bring you an abridged version of Power Up NG, talking about issues of electricity with Adegbemle and Yvonne. They'll be joining you shortly. Stay here.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back